This is the Vegas Huddle with Mike Davis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside the Vegas Huddle. I'm your host, Mike Davis. Always love being here, getting you guys in the game inside the Vegas Huddle. And listen, today we're joined by a guy who, he's a retired NFL player, but this guy looks like he could play in a game tomorrow. He could have played yesterday by taking a look at this guy, and I think he's 57 years old, which is crazy. We're here with the great Roy Hart. Roy, I mean, it's an honor to have you here inside the huddle. You really do look like you could play yesterday.
Well, Mike, you know what they say about looks. You just got to make sure you maintain them, but they can be deceiving at times.
But you know what? Here's the thing, Roy. I mean, I talk to a lot of guys, whether it's inside the huddle, whether it's out and about in the community, which we're going to get into with you because you're always out and about doing great stuff. But
yes,
there's a lot of guys who don't look like they can play anymore. You really do. I mean, this is no joke. I mean, you were a defensive tackle, a nose tackle, played
Correct.
with the Seahawks, the Raiders. How have you maintained this physique at the age of 57 so many years later?
It's all about maintenance. As you continue to grow in life, you must continue to know that your health is the most important thing of all. Without health and without a little self-attention, it's hard to maintain it.
Yeah.
So having a special, incredible woman behind me, and with the things that she allows me to be able to continue to do, I've been able to maintain this physique, and knowing how much I used it on the front end of my life, maintenance is even more important here on the back end of my life.
Were you taking care of your body more so now than you even did when you were a player?
Certainly. I pay more
crazy.
attention to it now.
Right.
Because, of course, as the player, you just going through it. You just making it happen. You playing with little nicks and bangs. And as they say, come mid-season, end of the season, no one is healthy. You always have something going on. And so, of course, those things will tend to weigh as you tend to mature in life. But as you mature in life, you must also mature with your health to look not past what you have done in the past, but look what you are looking to do in the future, and that is to maintain good quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a critical thing. And, you know, what I think later let's dive into a little bit of some of the things that you think everybody at home could do. Because I always ask you about, I know you do a lot of Tabata, you do a lot of interesting stuff. So we'll talk about that kind of stuff. But to me, the funniest thing is I think you and me, we first both, I think we both became acquainted with each other at a FOX5 Super Build event when you were representing the Raiders for a playground initiative we were doing in the community. But quickly after that, we had been at Marlon Greenwood's foundation event at Harley Davidson in Summerlin. And it was hilarious because, you know, guys, I was hosting the event with Marlon and, you know, doing a lot of different things where, you know, on stage hosting, making a few jokes. There was a lot of football guys in the audience. So I'm saying things like, you know, I was recruited by the University of Phoenix Online and just doing little shtick here and there. So anyway, the funny thing is Marlon and I are doing this. We did some craziness. We're singing some Bob Marley. But I bring up you, Roy, to do some comedic stuff with, and I'm basically saying, you know, Roy, you got muscles I've never even seen on my body. You got neck muscles I wasn't even born with, and your comedic timing right off the bat, you hop in, and what did you say to me on that stage with everybody?
Well, being in the audience a little bit before and listening to you, of course, entertain the crowd, entertain the audience, I just heard you talking about the University of Phoenix online, and that's how you got recruited to play football. And so doing that, and when you called me up, the next thing was us going through our little conversation back and forth. And it came up about the muscles that I have. And you was like, well, how did you really acquire those muscles? I say, well, Mike, the difference is you got recruited by the University of Phoenix online, and I got recruited from the University of South Carolina from the football field. So it was just great timing. But, you know, being an athlete, it's truly all about timing. And if you've ever been an athlete in the locker room, man, you got to have thick skin and you got to have quick wit. And you better be thinking fast on your feet because being able to come back on someone that's trying to crack on you makes it even a little funnier.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at it.
No, you are very good at it. But let's dive into your whole story. So, all right. So you're from a place called Tifton, Georgia, right?
Yes. And let me tell you a little story about that also.
Yeah.
Now, Tifton is a little small town, 180 miles, maybe 190 miles due south of Atlanta.
Okay.
And being in Las Vegas for the last 27 years, and definitely over the last 4 or 5, with all of us in the community just going in and the politics the way they are, I really did not know that our great senator, the incredible Dina Titus, was also from Tifton, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
Learned something else just the other day also.
Really? What?
I'm a country music fan, huge country music fan.
Okay.
So my sister-in-law was in town, and of course, the wife and myself, we love our country music. So we went to see Luke Bryant.
Oh, yeah.
Leesburg, Georgia.
Very
like
close.
Maybe 40 miles from Tiff County. I learned from my brother just yesterday when I told him that I got a chance to shake Luke Bryant's hand at the latest concert he had. And of course, he was a little impressed with these muscles too, seeing my maybe all white beard, because it was much longer than I just shaved it down just the other day.
It looks nice.
But it was much longer this past Wednesday at the Luke Bryant concert. And he come by, shook my hand, and of course, the first thing he did was, woo, woo, woo. I really didn't know that his aunt, Nancy, lives in Tifton.
Oh,
My
wow.
brother had to tell me that.
See?
Wow.
So now,
another incredible Georgia boy, but I just had to get that in.
No, I love that. So tell me, growing up in that area, were you a prodigy when it comes to sports? Were there other people you were playing high school with at Tifton High School? Like, are these people, were there legends that were prior to you that had the pedigree from that town? Or were you like this prodigy in that town when it came to sports, athletics, and, you know, Roy Hart's going places? How was it?
It was none of the above. I was a really good athlete. I was a 3-sport athlete. I wrestled and I ran track, but they made me a better football player. And then I took up football. But going back to the story of me being a prodigy, I look back on it now, and I kind of was. But I had one gentleman by the name of, I had a lot of people in my circle that helped me, from my granddad to my aunts and my uncles to my moms. They all helped me stay on the right track. Now, I can tell you, a gentleman by the name of John Reynolds, if I'm not mistaken, he played for the Chicago Bears some kind of way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Big John was his name.
Okay.
Big John would come starting about the 8th and 9th grade and pick me up at my house and take me to the weight room. It was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
But my story goes way deeper, Mike. We will get into that as we continue to go on.
Well, okay.
But it goes way deeper. I can tell you now, we're going to continue to talk. But in the 10th grade, I had a really, really bad injury from playing football. Really, the first game of the year, the first play, the kickoff. 15 years old, I broke my femur above my growth plate.
Oh, God.
I have a story that's truly unreal. We know Dr. William Andrews, correct? Renowned sports orthopedic doctor.
He he was an innovator.
Renowned orthopedic sports doctor. That injury happened to me, and lo and behold, I had a doctor by the name of Dr. Robert Scott, I want to think his name is, but I'm not quite sure now. It's been over 40 years, Mike. Okay, we're going back to some time.
Okay, I'll forgive you.
Please do. And that injury could have really threw me, and it did, for a path. But I had a doctor by the name of Dr. Robert Scott, and he looked at my mom, and he said, "This is a procedure that I want to try on your son. It's broke so close to the growth plate that he's so active if you move around and that bone doesn't set correctly, I'm going to have to go back in there and break that leg, break that bone, take some of it out. He's going to have one leg shorter than the other." I was 15 years old.
Wow.
My mom looked at me and she said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "You know I love football. You know I enjoy the sport. Let's try it." 15 years old, Dr. Robert Scott did a procedure on me that he had learned from the Dr. William Andrews tree. How lucky could I be, huh?
And is Dr. William Andrews, is that James Andrews' father?
I'm not sure how far it goes back, but I know he comes from the Dr.
Andrews.
Andrews tree.
Right.
Because down in that part, Andrews from Florida, and he had just studied under him down that way.
Wow.
And he made it up to Tift County and was our orthopedic surgeon in Tift County at the time.
Oh my
so
God.
I was so lucky at that point, never knowing that I would ever play football again.
And to make that choice and that decision when your mom says to you at 15, you got to make a life choice at 15 like that. You could have said no. You could have said, yeah. I mean,
I had 3 steel pins sticking out the side of my leg out of a cast.
Oh, God.
3 steel pins.
So this was a bad break.
This was a really bad break. I got hit low on the kickoff from the side, which is illegal, penalty,
right?
And all. And then on top of that, of course, I want to tell you, being down south, we understand the dynamics down there. It's still going on a little bit now.
Right.
I had a white coach by the name of, I can't recall his name now. Probably good, I can't. And he knew I was the toughest guy at 15, even tougher than the seniors coming over. He knew I was tough, right? And Coach Bowles, God, and I've always looked back on it like everybody in the stands thought he did something really, really bad. I had a broken femur. He come out onto the field, say, Hart, get up. You can't be hurt. Get up. Because he was like, no, I can't lose Roy Hart right now, there's no way. But I didn't even really know what was happening. I just knew that I was down. And he picked me up.
Yeah.
Being a white man, I'm a black man. And he dropped me right back down on the field in front of a completely full stadium of people. I don't have to tell you, football is a religion down south. Our stands was full there in the little small town of Tifton, Georgia. It was completely full. When I played football down there, we battled Valdosta Wildcats, the most winningest team of any champion USA. They've competed against being the champions against the Green Bay Packers, but the Valdosta Wildcats have more. They won.
Wow.
And I played at Tift County. But when I played at Tift County, trust me, Valdosta Wildcats knew they had a battle on their hand when they came to Tift County, long as Roy Hart was out there on that field. He dropped me right back on the field.
With the broken femur you had.
With the broken femur that I had.
God.
He didn't know at the time.
Yeah, but
I didn't know at the time either.
But still, who does that to a high school kid?
Who does that to a high school kid? So that had happened on top of having to make that life choice at that time. But I'm standing here now. I look back on it. I don't regret a second of it.
Right.
I never held Coach Bowles even close to in my brain responsible for doing anything because I knew he knew I was the toughest player, tougher than any of the seniors that they had on the field, and I was 15 years old in the 10th grade.
So, I mean, from the racial dynamics there, he wouldn't have done that to a white kid, but he did that to you?
Yes. But then again, I don't know because it wasn't a white kid. Maybe if it was the toughest white kid on the field and it happened to him and he knew it, because Coach Bowles had followed me from 7th grade, 8th through the middle school, 8th and 9th grade. So he knew he had a football player when it came to Roy Hart. And I wasn't going to back down from absolutely anything. Right. So that's the way I looked at that. But of course, he stayed in the town. He's still in the town now. He's was one of the great golf coaches, along with being an incredible football coach there. I know he's not coaching football anymore, but I think he went and still coaching the golf team there at the Tift County High Blue Devils.
How was it? I mean, you're 57, right?
Yes.
You were born what year?
65.
I'm bad at math.
65, baby. Okay. Great year. 65.
65. Tell us, what was it like growing up during that time down there?
I grew up at 5, 6, 7 years old. My earliest memory of life is with my granddaddy going down the white man's farm by the name of, these are my old memories. They pretty good. Camp Samp.
Wow.
I was cleaning hog pens at 7, 8 years old.
Oh, my God.
Okay? My granddaddy was teaching me about work ethic, not what I was doing, about how you go about what you're doing.
Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Doesn't matter what you're doing,
but it's
that you are doing something. My granddaddy, he was a sharecropper, an incredible man. And I can tell you now, he was my dad and my granddad. My dad lived quite a ways from me. As a young boy, I thought it was a ways from me, but it was only 13 miles. But I never really remember seeing him at any football games. He said he was there.
Your dad?
But my dad, yeah.
You never saw him?
I have his name. I'm Roy Hart Jr.
But he didn't come to any of your games.
He said he came to a lot, but then again, if I had a son out there, and I had to be balling because I got a full ride scholarship to the University of South Carolina. We'll talk about that a little bit later, Mike. But I never really saw him at all. Never really saw him at all at any of the games, anything. It motivated me even more. But see, I don't hold grudges. I don't do stuff like that. I got taught by my granddaddy. You hurt yourself more because they have to live with decisions that they made.
And this
that
is
that they could never.
This is your mom's dad.
This is my mom's dad. Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, my mom's dad.
So he taught you a lot.
I'm the oldest grandson out of his oldest daughter. I'm his first grandson.
Wow.
So he was able to take me under his wing, and luckily, that I found and had such strong, positive figures in my life being so young. I saw my uncles coming up working, saw my mom coming up working, saw people coming up, getting up every morning, going and taking care of the business they need to take care of. And that just made me even more determined.
So when you're like, when you're getting recruited by Coach Bowles in, 7th grade, 8th grade, and did you have a pretty good understanding of your ability and the fact that, football is going to be a way out for me?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. Not at all.
You didn't,
because I wasn't looking at football to be a way out. I was a hard-working man. I already knew how to get up and go get a job and how to work. Because, Mike, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I cropped tobacco on foot by hand. Yes.
At what age?
Crop tobacco on foot by hand. These hands. Yes. I didn't miss that era. I come up in that era. And, of course, it advanced over time where I wasn't doing the cropping. Now I'm doing the climbing in the buck barns. I'm hanging the tobacco strings. I'm either up at the top of the buck barn where you cure the tobacco at, or later on as I grew, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, it came to where they would now cure them in like big, I would say microwaves, where you put them in a rack, you stack them on a rack, and you have to put the big racks into the microwave type machines where they would cure the tobacco.
How old were you when you're doing this?
13, 14, 15 years old. Okay? So that's the work ethic than where I came from as a young boy. And I can tell you now, I'm so thankful for it. I look back on it now, and I'm even more grateful for it than I was even thinking about back in the day. But to hold grudges against people, something I never did. I thought that's from my granddad. They will have to deal with what they have done because memories go with you everywhere. You can't get rid of memories. And that's the most powerful thing of all. You be who you are and stay true to who you are. And that's what I've always tried to do.
It's crazy. Every time I'm around you, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I get goosebumps because you have such a beautiful way with words and such an inspiring. There's a lot of former athletes and stuff that, it's same to your physique. It's like there's a lot of former athletes that share a lot of the same qualities, but for you, you're so beautiful with your words. So did you ever think about going into preaching or like being in anything religious kind of stuff? I mean,
first and third Sunday, coming up as a young boy, you had to be dressed and ready to go down to St. Matthew Groves Baptist Church.
You would be a good pastor.
My mom and my grandmom thought I was going to be a pastor or a preacher.
You would be amazing.
And it just never clicked to me to do that way.
Right.
And I have a story about that and about the church. I'm really not going to share it with you.
That's fine.
Unless you truly want me to share it with you, and I can share it with you. I come up every first and third Sunday.
Yeah.
Down at St. Matthew Groves Baptist Church. And got wind of my pastor telling the little girls in Sunday school that he had holy salve in the head of his penis, and the Lord sent them to him to get it out. Right then, I knew that, no, that was not the morals that I come from within the God.
Hold on.
And all of this. So at that point, I kind of shied away from that little book that we call the Bible that's found in every hotel room as a young boy when I was coming up, and I tried to figure out why is a Bible in a hotel room. So it's a whole lot of things the way we can go there. That's a whole nother subject when it comes to dealing with me with that. It truly is, because I am truly a believer. But I know man didn't make himself. If he did, we'd be living way longer than we do now.
Wait, I don't want to do too much of this, but
yes.
I have to just ask because you piqued my curiosity. And
go right ahead.
This is crazy. You're saying, so when you were a youngster, you were saying the church that you frequented with your family,
yes,
the pastor there,
yes,
was taking advantage of children.
Taking advantage of kids, of little girls in Sunday school. Yes.
And you heard him say that phrase. What did you just say? Something with
one, maybe. Two, okay, we can question. When we start to get 3, 4, 5,
kids saying that this was going on.
You did it.
And
that's the bottom line about society. You did it.
Wow.
So, of course, he got, handled. He got taken care of.
Oh, that's good.
He got taken care of.
Because sometimes they don't get taken care of.
You got to handle them taken care of.
Yeah.
But that time I'm like, okay, well.
But it informed your thoughts about religion. It
informed my thoughts about religion and how it is delivered and the way that it's supposed to go.
Right.
Let me ask you this, Mike.
Yeah.
Why do I have to pay the middleman to go to the Lord for me?
Right. It is an interesting question. I guess some people, if just playing devil's advocate here, I guess the answer to that would be some people need help accessing their religion. It's the same way, why does somebody need to go to a trainer to go to the gym?
Understood.
You don't need a personal trainer to reap the benefits of a gym.
But I didn't say go. I said pay.
Okay.
Because
you
pay into the church, but you pay also.
You would pay a personal trainer.
Yeah, you would pay a personal trainer.
So you would pay a personal trainer to help you access, information in terms of working out and benefits for your body, all those kinds of things. Some people that can really help them. Some people they don't need that, and they can take initiative on their own to, make the body that they want or the health benefits that they want. So
I am one of those, Mike. It's what I explained to you.
See. You don't need a personal trainer at all.
I am one of those. It's what I explained to you.
Right.
That, okay, I go to the Lord every day by the way that I carry myself, by the way that I treat people, by the way that I go about accessing every single thing that I have been blessed with in order to share.
See?
That's the Lord to me.
You're a self-sufficient guy with all that stuff, which is good.
I know that as humanity, we are followers. We are more followers than leaders. Me, myself, I've had to be a leader from the time 15, 16.
Yeah, not having your dad there.
Making decisions that's going to affect you the rest of your life.
Yeah. Made the choice with the surgery. Your dad's not there, But so tell us, did you come into this body and this voice? You have such a when you hit puberty, what was the deal? Like, when did you get to this size?
I come out of high school at 6'1", 235 pounds.
Wow.
I can tell you a story about that. I was a small defensive lineman. My heart was way bigger than anyone could ever see because that's something you can't measure. You can get maybe a little glimpse, and some of the people have that ability to be able to spot it. Like a gentleman by the name of Bill Michaels and a gentleman by the name of Jim Washburn.
Jim Washburn.
Jim Washburn. One of his sons is
a famous coach.
He was my college coach, brother.
Wow.
I can tell you that now. It just wasn't meant for me to be.
Line coach, yeah.
It just wasn't meant to be. I tore my knee up again, trying to get more film back on me. Got a contract in Canada before he got into the pros, and I just decided that the doctor told me if you tear it up again, when you wake up, you ain't going to have it. So that right leg is still with me because I chose at that point to be the leader that I know I was and give up football. Most beautiful place that I ever could have landed was Las Vegas because it gave me an outlet for that beast that I created in middle school during the week, high school on Friday, college, Saturday, and Sunday in the pros. You need an outlet for that energy and for that beast.
Yeah.
Vegas, getting into the community, doing personal and private security, landing incredible jobs was the perfect outlet.
Yeah.
And after 27 years, I can still say that I've been accused of a few things, but my name and record doesn't have a misdemeanor on it. And I'm so proud of that.
See, that's a great thing. Jim Washburn, I think he was a defensive line coach with the Eagles. I'm pretty sure because when I grew up,
he created the wide nine, brother. Remember?
Right. Because when I was growing up, you got to realize I'm 30.
Yes.
So when I was growing up, Andy Reid was the coach.
Yes.
Jim Johnson, the great Jim Johnson, was the defensive coordinator, who was crazy. But Jim Washburn was the D-line coordinator.
D-line coach.
And that's when we had
I love that man.
Hugh Douglas, Corey Simon,
yes,
Javon Curse a little bit. Then we got into Brandon Graham,
Yes.
obviously Fletcher Cox. But yeah, when I was growing up, it's like all those great guys and Jim Washburn. So the Y9, explain to everybody right now the Y9 system. What does that look like?
Well, I never got a chance to play in it, Mike, so I couldn't really tell you about it. I'm a former player, former NFL football player. I can tell you that, of course, it was 3 interior linemen and 2 exterior linemen, maybe outside the tackles.
They're very, that's when you kind of saw with Javon Kurtzman, they're very low to the ground.
Very low to the ground. And you're hitting the corner, you're pretty much pushing everything back inside. It's nothing get outside you.
Right.
And that's why
setting the edge.
Setting the edge. That's why they call it the wide 9.
Right. But and we see a lot of guys now, because before defensive ends kind of used to have a little bit, the NFL is going more towards wide 9. When you see a Nick Bosa lineup, when you see some of these guys, their goal is to just get to the quarterback. Whereas, old football.
I'm going to say get to the quarterback, but disrupt every single thing in your path.
Right.
Also getting to the quarterback.
Right.
Okay? You want to disrupt every single thing in your path. The quarterback is the ultimate goal. Well, it used to be. I don't know anymore. You have to lay them down now, Mike. So you know what I'm saying? There'd be no way I'd be able to continue to
pick them up
play
and
down.
rest them, get a pillow. Get a nice
pillow,
little
man.
pillow.
That wouldn't be enough. You need a mattress. You need a mattress. Back when I played football.
What are your thoughts on that? When you see some of these roughing the passer penalties, I mean, listen, it's hard. I don't know what it feels like to be 280 pounds, 300 pounds, rushing like at, incredible speed, trying to stop on a dime.
Example,
to make sure.
Point blank, it happened in the NFC Championship game. You had a 255-pound linebacker trying to stop Patrick Mahomes, and how's he going to stop all that weight when he's trying to keep that man from going up the sideline to get more yards?
Oh, Jermaine Pratt, when he pushed him
he just barely leaned his elbow on him, and Patrick made it seem more than he did. And what did the referees do? Award them a winning kick.
But he was out. He was already outside. He was out of bounds.
How can you stop all that weight?
I know, but you gotta.
How can you stop it?
It's tough.
It's impossible. That's what I'm gonna tell you. That's what did you see the way his knee went down because he was trying to cut his? You hurting yourself even greater.
Yeah.
Because you're trying not to hit him. He didn't know whether Patrick's gonna continue up the sideline. When you run it like that, you really don't hop close to that sideline.
It's a tough position.
It is an awful call. It is. So that's
so
one
what do
of the
we
things.
do? What do we do? How does the NFL fix that?
Well, some calls are meant to be made. They're all judgments, and some calls are not meant to be made. That's what I explained to you. It is football. You're gonna get people hurt. You're gonna maybe hit a little bit after.
Yeah.
It's truly the thing that I would say is hurting the game more than anything else.
Is the soft nature of the game now? Why does that hurt the game?
Because you hurt the players.
The fact that it's softer hurts the players more than
they haven't built up the calluses yet. They practice 12 padded practices a year. How can you build up the calluses and take the punishment? So therefore, when you do get injured, you get injured. You've seen some of the injuries here lately?
Yeah.
Because the body haven't built up and haven't been gone through and put through the gauntlet of the toughness. It's just like anything else in life. You build up that toughness, you build up that resistance to it in order to be able to now go out and complete the function of the task that's put before you. And that's, we had flag football games, 3 of them, just this past Pro Bowl. A couple of them was really exciting. It was a couple of nice hits out there still, even with flag football in the past going on, because sometimes when you're moving at that rate of speed at such a big person, it is almost impossible to stop it. It's kind of like a big truck. You need a distance to be able to stop.
Yeah.
You're still going to move forward. Even if you put on your brakes, you're still going to be moving forward a little bit. So that's the analysis that I give you with that last play over there. A big truck coming at that rate of speed. How's he supposed to put on his brakes? He's still going to come a little bit.
Right.
He didn't even really hit Patrick, because if he did, he would have grabbed him and slammed him into the ground.
Right.
That's when you deserve a 15-yarder. That's how the NFL fixed that. But just going out of bounds like that with that rate of speed, you're probably going to touch him a little bit.
Right.
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Or hurt yourself trying to divert them, and that's what he almost did. I'm quite sure his knee was hurting the other day. His knee was hurting the next day after that, because the way his knee buckled when he was trying to stop and slow himself down.
Yeah.
It's just sad. But I didn't want to see the game end by a judgment call.
No, of course.
That's what I didn't want to see.
Of course.
That's what's hurting
That's
the
bad
game.
for the game.
That's
that's bad for the game.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So let's get back to let's go back to you when you're growing up. So you're saying,
Okay.
you have a lot of heart as, as a defensive tackle. You're growing into your body. You have a lot of heart. Even when people didn't see the body that, you were growing into, you still displayed this element of toughness through your heart. So once that all starts to happen, when do you really start? Because you're ultimately drafted 6th round, 158th overall by the Seahawks. But you start at Northwest Mississippi Community College, then you go to South Carolina, right? No, that's not how it works.
I go to South Carolina. I go to South. That's what I'm saying. You ready for this? I go to South Carolina. There's one. It's the most powerful thing you can have. The power of one, my friend. Let me explain the power.
Yeah, let's hear this. Preach to me.
I knew I was one of the best football players in all of America coming out of high school, but I was small playing defensive line. None of the big schools recruited me at all, Mike. Technically, I had one major scholarship, one offer to one major school, one offer to one junior college. Florida A&M Rattlers, they offered me. I know my parents, my family didn't have money to send me to college. I didn't know nothing about grants or anything such as that to be able to continue to go. I had went and applied for the Air Force. But I had a gentleman by the name of Jim Washburn and Bill Michaels. They saw it. Gentleman by the name of Willie Hill that I played football with at Tift County, had attended the University of South Carolina, and Bill Michaels was recruiting him. And, of course, they all on the same staff there. Bill Michaels, Jim Washburn, Joe Morrison, a great New York old giant. Joe Morrison was all on the staff at the University of South Carolina at the time. I'm 230 pounds, 235, maybe 235, 40 pounds. But you got to realize now, that's all muscle. I didn't have an inch of body fat on me at all. That's all muscle. So if you could see that, okay, once he grow into this figure, it's going to be something incredible. But one major scholarship offer, the University of South Carolina. One.
And why was this one? Why just one?
I was a small defensive lineman.
Yeah.
I was small. But I was a hell of a football player, man, because I wrestled, I ran track, and I did them too because it made me a more incredible football player.
Yeah.
One, that's it.
So you go there.
I go to the University of South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't even redshirt my freshman year because they didn't want to redshirt me. I'm starting my sophomore year.
Wow.
But it was a gentleman there by the name of Ricky Haygood, God rest his soul. He also got drafted by Seattle, and he's also since, of course, passed away. When I saw this gentleman, I went to Coach Washburn and Coach Michaels. I was like, does he play the same position I play? This man's head was twice the size of mine. You have to realize that I was coming out of high school. You know what I'm saying? So his head was twice the size of mine. I was like, there's no way.
Right.
That guy there playing nose defense tackle, playing the same position. I was like, no. I want to go back home. They would not allow me to go back home. I stayed there. So my sophomore year, I was starting because Ricky, it was his senior year. He was going out. And another gentleman by the name of Glenn Woodley also playing nose. But by my sophomore year, me hitting that weight room, I had bloomed up from 240 to 265, 270. All muscle.
Wow.
So and just imagine. And Jim Washburn was my coach. So we went to what we call the jump. I destroyed all the backfields.
Wow.
I was by the center before. Quick and slippery.
Right.
I was. Quick and slippery I was inside those tackle boxes in there.
It's interesting.
So at that time, the University of South Carolina, I was there playing against the University of Georgia. Got caught in the pile, tore my PCL and my ACL.
Oh God.
In my right knee. I even had a cast on my left hand as I was playing because I had broke my navicular, and it's still to this day big old knots out right there.
Wow.
And hurting even before I came over here. So I dropped out of school, but I had to go back and get my credits back up. So that's what sent me to Northwest Mississippi Junior College with another great gentleman. God, I can't recall his name right now. He was legendary there at the university at Northwest Mississippi Junior College. I wish I could recall his name because he deserves the respect, is what I tell you. Me and Gerald Perry, that's a name you might recall, got drafted by Denver, played offensive tackle for Denver for quite a few years, was in the league for quite a few years. Gerald Perry, we both went at the same time.
Wow.
I went back, I dropped out of school, I had to. I couldn't get a class. I couldn't even walk on crutches. I had a cast on this hand and a cast on this leg.
You were that broken.
I was that broken. I couldn't do it.
So you go to community college.
I went to the community college, Northwest Mississippi Junior Community College, got my grades back up. I played football there because I got back healthy now. I played football there. And Southern recruited me. Gerald Perry ended up going to Southern. Guess where I ended up going back to?
Where?
University of South Carolina.
Wow.
Because of Jim Washburn. I had unfinished business. We had unfinished business. Okay.
Wow. Look how circuitous that whole journey.
Yes. Yes.
So starting there, leaving there, then coming back.
Then going back.
Wow.
Went back. A gentleman by the name of Tommy Chaikin, which read a Sports Illustrated, a huge article because it was a steroid scandal that went on at the University of South Carolina. They all thought I was using, but I never used. Never, ever, ever did I ever use.
But people were.
Knowingly. I realized a little later in life we'll get into that I was being administered, but I was told it was cortisone. Oh. That's all I was told. I ain't said it's a steroid called cortisone. I wasn't told that. But I would have, maybe went a little different path then too, and maybe something, it'd be a little different also.
Wow. So there was a scandal with the Gamecocks.
With the Gamecocks.
Basically going on there.
You can look it up. Just put you in Tommy Chaikin, University of South Carolina.
And the school was administering steroids.
Not the school, it was a few. But he was going himself.
Wow.
Because he was competing against yours truly for the stay-at-nose title. Which I don't care what he did. He wasn't going to be able to stay. If I was playing up in there and healthy, he was not going to be able to stay. I don't care how much he took.
Right.
But it was a huge scandal. He was helping a few of the offensive linemen get it, but he was going back up to Maryland and coming back down with it, and all huge scandal about it because they thought that the defense, that the strength coaches, which we had, you can look them up, Keith Kefhart and a gentleman by the name of Big Mike. I'm talking about, dude, these guys was in the weight room. It was ongoing. It was ongoing in that weight room. Trust me.
Wow.
It was ongoing, but I wasn't taking any. And they was upset at me because I was just as strong as all of them because I started lifting weights
when you're
at 11, 12 years old, doing dips off the back of my mom's chairs, looking at those Arnold Schwarzenegger's books and those Lee Haney and Lou Ferrigno and all those guys. I was just, looking at that. I was like, I need to start doing dips. And also to protect myself. Also, to make sure I didn't get beat up. Ain't nobody jump on me. Wasn't nobody going to bully me, and all that type of stuff. But to get back to that's how I ended up at Northwest Mississippi Junior College.
Gotcha.
It's because I needed to get my grades back up because I got hurt at the University of South Carolina so bad I couldn't go to class. So I had to drop out of school.
So that's how you end up. So you end up getting drafted out of the
University of South Carolina.
Your second time back there. And,
yes.
And you had a good career, good college career?
Hey, man, look here. Out of the 100-year history of the University of South Carolina, I'm voted one of the 10 best linemen to ever play there.
And that's a big-time school. That's no joke.
100 years, though.
Right.
That's a long time.
And
voted one of the 10 best?
That's big.
I'll take that. I'll take that any single day. I'll take that legacy any single day. I was under the tutelage of Jim Washburn at the University of South Carolina.
Right.
I led the team in tackles from nose, which you'll never see again.
Yeah.
I was Defensive Player of the Year 2 straight years at the
Wow.
University of South Carolina. I have the trophies to show for it.
That's
I
big.
do.
So were you surprised you were drafted in the 6th round and not earlier?
I was drafted in the 6th round, Mike.
Because of the injury history?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. I pulled my hamstring at Pro Day.
Gotcha.
Okay? Pulled my hamstring at Pro Day. Even though I ran good speed now. I ran like a 4.7.
Oh, wow.
And I was 290 pounds.
How is that possible? Man.
Did you see that guy running just this past
Yeah, there's some of
combine? That big 330-pound man ran, what, a 4-something in the 40-yard dash?
I still don't.
Okay.
It's still hard to believe, though, you know?
Yes, it is. It's hard to believe.
I mean, I'm like, 170, 75, and I can't, I'm like around 5'6".
Hey, this was back when I was, this was back when, nothing's going to stand in the way. But the power of one. One made a scholarship offer at the University of South Carolina. I had one incredible year playing pro football, and it had nothing to do with the NFL, but then I learned later it had everything to do with the NFL because it was called the World League of American Football in 1991.
Yeah.
Played for the London Monarchs. Jim Washburn was my defensive line coach.
Oh.
Larry Kennan was the head coach.
Gotcha.
We won the first World Bowl.
Gotcha.
That league stayed in this is about 8 or 9 years. You're going to bring me back in. It's going to be a long conversation, brother, about
Gotcha.
the World League, which turned to NFL Europe,
right,
which is now producing millions of people in the stands when the NFL go overseas.
Right.
Because it all started right there with introducing the game to the foreign market.
Because you did London. You also did Canadian football as well.
Yes, I did Canadian football also.
So you were so when you went to the Seahawks, though, I mean, you started like 16 games with them, right? I mean,
the Seahawks, I can tell you, it was one of those things where I went from firing into the backfield like a John Randall.
Yeah.
To catching 300-pound linemen because they wanted me to read. Because I was pretty good at reading, too, because of my quickness.
Right.
I was pretty good at reading. Reading means that on the snap of the ball, you don't know which way they're going to go. But your instincts and your quickness and everything takes over in the spur of the moment sense that you're able to catch back up and go. And catching those big linemen, catching that big centers, I tore my shoulder up against the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
Now, I tore my right shoulder up. They shot me up with cortisone all of 89 and the rest of the year to continue to play that year. Yes, they did.
Wow.
With a torn rotator cuff because they told me it was a inflamed bursa. I come back in 90. I got to have surgery because now my shoulder's still not right. And with me lifting, I'm like, my shoulder still ain't right. Guys, my shoulder still ain't right. And it's weak. It's weak. I'm like, no, this is supposed to be because you can look at me now and tell that, of course, working out is one of the things that I enjoy doing. So they shot me up that rest of that year in that shoulder cortisone.
Right.
And I played the rest of the year. Come back in 90, March, minicamp, I needed to have surgery.
Right.
So mid-March, late March, I had surgery. They tried to put me back on the field in August. I wasn't healthy enough, so they cut me.
Right.
And then that's when I started to bounce around back and forth. But luckily, Jim Washburn and Larry Kennan came a-calling like, excuse me, you guys know where Roy Hart is? We need to find Roy Hart because we're looking for him because I want him to come play for me. And
it's amazing.
And that's when Al Davis spotted me. And I got a chance to play for the Raiders. And, of course, negotiating with Mr. Davis. I don't have to tell you, everybody's had their challenges with him. I look back on it now. It was one of the highlights of my life, being able to negotiate with such a student of football.
Yeah. I mean, he was the GM president of the team when you were there.
He was a student of football.
Yeah, he really knew it.
That's where the championships and Truly and all that came from. He was a student of football. All the managerial stuff, yeah, he had to come and learn. He had, to come up the.
But he knew football.
Yes, that's how you pick your players, bro. Why you think the Raiders won a lot of Super Bowls back in the day? Mr. Davis knew how to pick
but
his
you
players.
were, so you're on that team in 91. And,
91, yep. Al Davis come in then, of course, got a little spat. I asked for more money. And I have to tell you, when you go to Mr. Davis, ask for something. But see, I'm a alpha. I'm a leader. I wanted more. So, of course, it didn't come up, and the Jets offered me more money. I went up there, and I got hurt. I didn't continue to sit and wait. I let my agent push me into a contract in Canada. If I'd have continued to sit and wait, I would have got even more years in the NFL because the Phoenix Cardinals called because one of my college coaches was already on the Phoenix Cardinals. And he was like, no. Hold on. Is Roy Hart out there? They called. Didn't want to, of course, contract lap over. Right. And that's how I ended up in Las Vegas. Playing for the Las Vegas Posse, trying to finish out that contract in 1994. And, of course, I tore that knee up again. Same knee, almost 10 years to the date. And the doctor told me, if you tear it up again, Roy, when you wake up, you ain't going to have it because it took me 3 years, Mike, to get my leg back the way I still got it right now. It took me 3 years and 3 more operations.
Oh, my God.
to get my leg back, leg back right.
So tell me, like day to day now, thinking we learned about your femur, we learned about your shoulder, your knee. I mean, and I'm sure there's so much more that we can't even get into. But I mean,
I found out at 50. What? They call it fractures, but I broke my lumbar area at some point playing football because I've never been in a car accident. I broke my lumbar area. Didn't know it till I was 50 because I started taking a couple of falls, Mike, and I did not know what was making me fall. Being a former athlete, if you stumble, especially being a lineman, I'm able to catch myself, kick myself up. No, it was like I was hit with a bullet, bam, right down to the ground, and I was doing security for a high-profile client. So imagine how I started to feel at that time. It didn't happen again until I ended up in Yellowstone with my family, with my in-laws, and I fell again. And so the wife was like, I'll say, babe, that's the second time now, because I just went down like a bullet, like the leg is not even there.
Man,
not knowing what was going on. But years before that, I'd be driving to Southern California and going down that way, and my leg would go to sleep on me in the car just driving. It would start cramping up, this right leg, just all of a sudden. I'm like, okay, this ain't never happened, what's going on? But I didn't know until I went to a Raider event up in Napa Valley, 2016, and I come back, and the wife said, okay, well, it's time to start doing those doctor's appointments. We got to figure out what's going on. It was right after we had come back from Yellowstone. It was a late summer, getting ready to go into fall. Invited us up. So I started going to the doctor, and I ended up finding a doctor who was one of the team managers, doctors for the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
He's one of the team managing doctors for the Detroit Lions. And he said, have you ever been x-rayed? I told him my symptoms. He said, give me your symptoms. I said, well, seems like it's in my hip, but I have no grinding or nothing in my hip, but it's a pain, comes around the front of my leg, go down through my quad, inside my knee, and down into my calf. He said, you got something going on with your lumbar area.
Wow.
He x-rayed me standing up.
Where's your lumbar?
He come back in there. He said, sit down. He said, you're lucky you're walking. He said, I must have did it at the end of a training camp or at the end of a season, and it was just hurting me, and I didn't know what the pain was stemming from, and I just let it heal because I have a bone mass back there that shouldn't be there, meaning that I had a fracture or a break, whatever you want to call it, and my body heals, and it heals quite healthily, so it throw extra bone at it, and I have a bone mass back there that should not be there right now.
Wow.
But yeah, I started taking a couple of falls, and that's where I'm at. Well, you look at me now, and you see, and you be like, wow, this body, and because I continue to try to keep it in a manner to let it know that I need it. I need this to continue to work, because once you stop, it's going to stop. It's just the way it works, because no one is beating time. I tell people this all the time. Time is never late, and it's undefeated.
Yeah.
It's never late, and it's undefeated. So therefore, you have to manage it. You have to be on time. You have to be on point in order to continue. And so that's why I get this body. But I live with pain every single day, Mike. Every day. But it's okay. You know, it's what I chose. I just wish my mom would have had me about 30 years later.
Well, you know what? Because the money now is crazy with these players.
Woo, my biggest contract in 1991 was $120,000 for the Los Angeles Raiders. Used to be a little embarrassed to say that, but because, you know, when you tell people, even to this day, you play pro football, they think you're a millionaire. Think you made millions, you know, especially if you played 2 or 3 years.
Right.
You know, but no, it wasn't like that. Back in the day when I played, it was only a few different players
that were doing that.
That was making millions.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Tell us, beyond, you play with some great guys, obviously. When you're, the interesting thing is when you're with Seattle, Tom Flores was actually the GM and the president of the team at the time. But obviously you got guys there, Steve Largent, Eugene Robinson, interesting players.
Brian Bosworth.
Right.
Don't leave the balls out, baby. Brian Blades, Jacob Green, John Dale Williams, Kurt Warner.
So a lot of good guys. And then with the Raiders, you know, Jay Schrader was the QB.
I played with Jay Schrader.
Marcus Allen.
The great Warren Moon was there. Todd Marinovich. Howie Long. Bob Golick. Greg Townsend, Eddie Anderson, Willie Gault.
Right.
All of those
great guys.
Incredible names and quite a few Hall of Famers in that class.
It's a special thing. Tell us, who was the hardest player to tackle when you were playing in
Christian
the NFL?
Okoye?
Oh, well, I mean, he was really?
Christian Okoye, the Nigeria Nightmare.
He was the hardest player.
Yeah.
Wow, with the Chiefs.
That man was bigger than me and running the ball. I didn't have to tackle Napoleon McCallum because he's a big running back, too.
I don't know him.
You don't know Napoleon McCallum?
No.
Right, he's a former Raider. You've never run into Napoleon McCallum?
No.
He lives here in town. Been here about 23 years. Napoleon McCallum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, Navy man.
Wow, he was tough to tackle, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was tough to tackle.
Okoye was big, though.
Yeah, he was huge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, is it safe to assume if you didn't have the injuries that really plagued a lot of your career and you didn't have to battle with that, you think your NFL career would have been a lot different?
I could have made a few different choices also. You know?
What does that mean?
I could have went on and stayed with the Raiders and took that contract and played it out. And then I would have got the big money the next year. But I wanted it then. So just don't blame other people. Look at your choices that you make also. That's where you can come with those good words. That's where you become a leader, when you're able to look at your choices that you made.
See? It's an interesting thing, but that's what's so crazy about the community.
But I had a good career.
No, you did. You played all over.
I played pro football a total of about 7 years.
That's longer than average.
I played, well, I thought I had 4 in the NFL, almost 5, but I played 3 in the NFL. I played 1 in Europe. I played 3 in Canada.
Yeah.
I'll take that any single day.
Yeah.
I thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Tell us about, and what's so crazy is even 1 year with the Raiders, I mean, the community of the Raiders organization, you're always out and about in the community doing stuff with the Raiders. You're a great representation of what it means to be a Raider and, that camaraderie. I mean, you played at a lot of different places. What is it about the Raiders that just breeds this family, amongst its alumni?
Coming up as a young man, as a young boy, looking at football and loving the sport, knowing it was an outlet for whatever anger, whatever energy, whatever I needed to get inside. I could do it on the football field and not get in trouble with it. The Raiders and the Steelers was 2 of my teams that I liked and looked at, okay?
Wow.
Of course, I'm a Georgia boy. Falcons, they wasn't doing too much, but, they had a few great players, William Andrews and Billy White Shoes Johnson and stuff like that.
Right.
No really great defensive players, and I was a defensive player.
Right.
So I looked at the Raiders and the Steelers. You got it.
Right.
So knowing the Raiders and looking back at it and seeing Mr. Davis, how they always show the owners in the box. Mr. Davis' celebrities was his former players. He always had those guys in the box with him, his former players. Maybe a celebrity every now and then, but no.
It's the players.
It's his former players. So I can tell you and speak. Being in Las Vegas, the years that I had been in Las Vegas before the Raiders decided to move here, and of course, working out into the community, being in the community, helping a few different organizations that dealt with kids, fundraise, it was just something that I enjoy doing. So when the Raiders come a-calling, 2016 or so, to go up and enjoy a former player reunion and meet some of your old ball players, and they would take you out to the wineries in Napa Valley, and me and the wife, we would go up before that and do the Calistoga and the mud baths and all of that type stuff up in Calistoga a few days before, and then come back down to Napa Valley and enjoy the wineries and stuff. She likes that kind of stuff. So it was all a win-win-win.
Gotta keep it
was a win-win-win because my wife, she wasn't around me when I was playing football.
You met later.
I met her in the Valley of Las Vegas, where people say you cannot meet anyone. The city, yes. No, I met this incredible woman in the Valley of Las Vegas. I was hosting the Avatar restaurant at the time. It was 1999. Her and a friend was visiting Las Vegas from the Bay Area. She's a Michigan girl, though. Oh. And she walked through the door of Paris, and it was just like those sparkles, bling, bling, bling. And I didn't let her walk by, and one thing led to another. A few years later, she was
Wait, hold up.
Yes.
I love stories. So wait, let me hear this real quick. You meet her, 99.
Yes.
You see her, immediately you're like, wow, look at this woman. But you still let her walk by. Or you didn't
I let her walk by, and then after the sparkles came clear,
Yeah.
I said, excuse me.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me what you did.
Yeah, I just said, excuse me. You look absolutely incredible, and I could feel your energy walking by. And that's what it was.
And
we had already made eye contact. The little sparkles had already went through the eyes.
She had sparkles too.
Oh, no question, no question. You know that little bing that.
And then what?
On TV.
And then you went on a date. How quickly after that?
We talked for a while. They went up and enjoyed the bar there at the Eiffel Tower restaurant at Paris, and they come back out and we exchanged numbers and then maybe I'm gonna say about her birthday was October, so her and her friends, they came back down for her birthday, and after that point we pretty much was together from that point on.
Wow, that's a bit. How long has it been now? How many years?
Ooh, man, it's been 20 plus years
Wow.
now. Yeah,
It's a beautiful
We've been
thing.
married about. We was gonna do 7/7/7. My birthday is 7/10/7.
Gotcha.
So that's what we did. We did my birthday 7/10/7, and I know that is good because now I always remember my anniversary because it's on my birthday. So I have no excuse not to be able to get something. If that's one day that I hopefully that I will not forget, and put my anniversary on my birthday just makes it even, because my gift is her.
Yeah, you talk about her a lot. Every
Yeah.
time I see you, it's a beautiful thing. You know, you really do love her a lot.
Oh, I carry her with me, Mike, because that beast can want to astray sometime, and then you just think about the beauty that's on the other side, and it pulls you back in.
You know, you have such a way with words. Let's talk before we let you go. Let's talk a little bit about this. So, you personal and private security stuff you were saying, right?
Yes.
You had a big career in that too. You're still doing
Johnny
that.
Tapia, Mike Tyson, Jorge Gonzalez, and numerous of incredible businessmen that have built their own business from scratch. Now, I can tell you, I did for celebrities also. Olden Polynice, Amari Stoudemire.
Wow.
But I'm a celebrity also because I've done so with my life.
Right.
This is just the second phase. And going around Las Vegas with those guys and working in the industry, and I don't have to tell you, I carry the oil with me where I go. That's how I treat people. So when people have dealt with me in the past and they see me, hadn't seen me in years, they run over, Roy, how you doing?
Is that bad? Is that a conflict with your job when you're
because I got told that I got what do I got? Celebrity security? I said, well, excuse me. The respect is that I did play pro football, and I've lived here in the Las Vegas Valley.
Oh, my God.
I looked at him, I say, that should give you great confidence and great pleasure knowing that your security is loved by someone else that they hadn't seen in a while and going to run up to me and say hi.
Right.
Because they would run up and hi, Amari, Roy, where you been? What's going on with you? What's happening and stuff?
Dude.
So, he got a little upset about that, which I understand.
Right. He wants people recognizing him.
Well,
you.
He said, I got celebrity security?
That's so funny. I used to love Amari growing up.
Yeah, I still do. Great guy, man. Beautiful person,
That's so
beautiful
funny.
person. Him and his incredible
But you
family
are like an intimidating guy. Like, I mean,
it's my presence, Mike. I can
you
do
have
nothing
a
with
presence
it at all but try to soften it
What?
with who I am as the person.
Right.
The last name like Hart.
You're right. It's a beautiful thing. You're a beautiful guy, but you are intimidating.
But
like
Mike, don't get it twisted. I'm stern, but I'm fair.
No, I got you. So tell me, when you're doing this, this is an interesting question from my perspective. Like, when you're doing security for Mike Tyson, right?
Oh, no, I never did security.
Oh.
Security was the title. Security was the title.
So what was it?
This customer service and hospitality. Customer service and hospitality, when you do it correctly,
what is
security is taken care of, because everyone else at the events and stuff, if something goes on, they're going to call you right away because they don't want they're upset.
But they also have you there because if security isn't taking care of it, then boom.
Mike, go back to the words you just said. You ain't intimidating. That does security for me. That make you laugh because it's all true.
It's
all
true. Like, nobody's even going to start something.
It's all true.
Right.
Security. My presence that I was blessed with, that I've continued to try to uphold.
Yeah.
Because I have been blessed with it. It does security for me, because I can walk into a room.
Yeah.
And the whole room turn and look and be like, "Oh my God, I hope he's not here for me." And if he is, I hope it's all friendly.
Did
and
you
9
ever
times
have
out of
to
10,
clock somebody in this world? Did you ever?
Doing security in this town, I've had to hire other individuals at times.
Yeah.
And if they come to me and tell me how tough they are and how they love to fight and how they got scars on their face, I tell them thank you, but no thank you. The last thing I'm going to do is get into a huge physical altercation or allow anything around me to get into a huge physical altercation, because there's no win in it for me. Right. If I beat you up, I lose. If you beat me up, I lose. If I allow the situation to get out of hand, I lose.
Right. You don't want it escalate. You want it getting to that point. If it gets to that point, you're already bad.
It never reaches that point. Yeah. It never reaches that point. I can truly say that I've never been in a fist fight. And I started doing security at 19 years old at the University of South Carolina by a little club called Concerts Plus. Owner was Henry O'Boyle, Mrs. O'Boyle. Her and her husband was great alumni and donors to the University of South Carolina. And that's when I started learning about customer service and hospitality of people. That's what I wish our law enforcement would go back into more of. I know it's more dangerous out there, but if they would take that and put that in the forefront of what they're doing first, we wouldn't have a lot of these ugly things towards humanity going on if they put customer service and hospitality first.
Interesting. You would never think of those things, but it makes a lot of sense. Utilizing that mentality.
I can stand on the door of any establishment and need no security inside at all, because the door is where it all starts at with any event. If I have someone come up to the door and if they're going to disrespect me, my customers, my employees, my ownership, management, no one inside stands a chance. I just disrespected the guy at the door. So I know I can go in and disrespect everyone else. No, but it's all about being able to recognize and judge people also, not only in their sober state, but in their intoxicated state or a little bit before that intoxicated state. People tell you so much about them without saying a word, Mike. That's all you got to do, is be able to pick up on all the little nuanced things that we do as humans. Wow. That's it.
What an education. Tell us, are you still in that world? Are you still? No, you're not.
I told you I took a couple of crazy falls.
And that's it.
If I'm falling, I can't even protect myself.
Right.
How can I put someone else in danger to try to protect them? Because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. I am going to step forward and say, look, I'm security here.
Right.
All this, it means nothing. And doing security, and if I do have to go and approach someone, also in security at the Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace in the Mounties hat, when the Simon Property Group used to own it, and they was doing the security there. Now everything is out leased. This is when Mr. Floyd Mayweather himself used to terrorize Las Vegas, him and his posse. Floyd's family, truly. Anytime I'd walk up in there, everything would stop. Would nothing be going on. It would calm down.
Because of your presence.
Just because of the presence. Because I didn't go there to beat no one up. I went in there to let them know that what got them upset doesn't register on life scale.
Yeah.
Being such an incredible person and a businessman, an astute individual, how are you letting something so small get you upset, turn into something so big? You're better than that. Right. The next thing I know, it's all calmed down, and everybody want to know what I said to them. I just told them the truth.
Right.
It doesn't register on life scale. Right. So why are you allowing this to go? You're a businessman. Look at what you've created.
Right.
This is too small.
Yeah.
Don't let this be something big.
It's true.
And they'd be like, well, I thought you coming to beat me up, to drag me out. No, but I am asking you to leave at this time, and I would like for you to get up and leave peacefully, please.
Right. But you know what? There is an art to that. There is an art to that, and you have mastered that as well. Listen, I could talk to Roy Hart Jr.
Yes, Roy Hart Jr.
for hours upon hours.
And we can talk for hours and hours, too.
You have so many stories to tell. We're going to have to get you back in here. But listen, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier in the beginning of this podcast, if you're watching, you can watch, you can listen to us. Make sure you watch on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Make sure you listen wherever you get your podcasts. But it's a beautiful thing because you really do have such a way with words. I think this presence that we're alluding to at the end of this conversation, people definitely teed up on that, and they could hear that from the beginning of this podcast. Every time I get to see you, it's really a joy, and I'm always anxious to hear the beautiful things that you have to say. You have such a great perspective on life, and I always feel like I learned something with you. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's such a joy to really just hear the beginning of your story and, how you got to where you are. It's a great thing. The great Roy Hart Jr. Roy, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want the people to know about you? Anything, last words?
Mike, thank you very, very much. Living in Las Vegas, never knowing what the future is going to hold, you always look for that outlet. And with the Raiders coming to town now and being able to go out and represent the valley that I live in, myself, the Las Vegas Raiders, has been absolutely special. Got a chance to meet you at an incredible special event for kids, and that led us to this. And I want to say thank you to yourself for being able to come in and just give you a little bit of Roy Hart, because I just feel as though it's one of the most powerful things you can possibly possess, is just giving it to you in love.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I look forward to coming back, though, because we got to talk about that power of one.
That's what we gotta talk about. The power of one. We gotta break that down. We got a lot to break down with you.
Yes.
There's so much to talk about.
Yes, it is. I have a show that I would like to possibly bring that would just boost ratings, and it is phenomenal, because I tell you, it covers every single sport that's played. Whether you are starting up as a small youngster, or whether you're retired. It involves
the whole spectrum.
Every single sport that's played. And if you've played it, this is one thing that you are unable to escape. I tweak your curiosity there a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say anything about it.
Okay.
But we have to come back.
Two things. Ladies and gentlemen, we have homework. The power of one and this show that spans from youngsters to retirees.
When it comes to the field of athletics. Sports.
All right. We're going to have the Roy Hart Jr. back on the podcast. Roy Hart, thank you so much for coming inside the Vegas Huddle. Listen, guys, make sure you go listen wherever you get your podcast. Watch on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. You can also watch our clips on YouTube as well. Until next time, Roy Hart Jr., thanks so much for being a part of the Vegas Huddle. I'll see you guys next time inside the den.